So this tutorial is going to show you how to calculate correlations using Google Sheets. I have a link to this spreadsheet posted in the description in the YouTube video as well as in Canvas. So if you want to work along, I suggest grabbing that link and opening it up. So calculating a correlation is relatively straightforward for the first example I have. And in this first example, I have both sets of data in either interval or ratio data. So to do that, I'm going to click equal sign to start the function, and I'm going to type in Corel. Click open parentheses. I'm going to highlight my first set of data, hit the comma, and then I'm going to highlight my second set of data. Close parentheses, hit enter, and I will now have an R value of 0.724 that I can compare to my table of critical values to see whether it is significant or not. Now my second example is a little bit different. I have ordinal data over here, so I'll be working with a Spearman correlation. However, I have over here, this is in interval or ratio data. This is ratio. Anytime I have a mixed set of data using a spreadsheet, I'm going to need to do an extra couple steps prior to running the function. So since this is in interval or ratio data, in this case ratio, I need to convert this into ordinal data. To do that, I'm going to highlight everything. I'm going to highlight my column headers as well as all my data. I'm going to go up top, and I'm going to click on Sort Range. The data does have a header row, so I'm going to click here. And I want to sort my time training from A to Z or Z to A. It's really up to you. What that will do is if I sort it one way, I'll end up with a negative correlation. If I sort it the other way, I'll end up with a positive correlation. But as you know, that just indicates direction. Direction. The absolute value of it is what I'll use to see whether it's significant or not. So I'll just choose A to Z, click on Sort. Now I'm going to go through, and if you look, I have some data that is the same, 10 and 10. We're going to have to worry about that in just a second. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to create a new row header just to keep, or column header, so I can keep things straight in my head. This is time training, and instead of hours, I'm going to make it ordinal. So instead of saying that this person trained 2 hours, I'm going to say he trained number 1, the least amount of time. Instead of training 4 hours, he trained number 2, the second least. 7 hours, the third least, etc. I could continue doing that all the way through, but a little bit easier would be to highlight everything. I'm going to grab that blue box right here with my little plus sign cursor, drag down, and you can see it continued counting. Now, as I pointed out earlier on, here I have 2 values that are 10. Well, I cannot say that this person was a 6th least and this person was a 7th least because they both trained the same amount of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 6 and the 7, I'm going to take the mean of those 2 values. So 6 plus 7 is 13, divided by 2 is 6.5. So I'm going to change this to 6.5. I'm going to change this to 6.5. Done. Now once I've done this, I now have my time training ordinal. I got my finishing place in ordinal. My time training in hours is now irrelevant. I can go ahead and just delete this column of data. These two columns are now what I want to use to calculate my correlation. To do that, I'm going to click equals, correlation, open parentheses, highlight my first column, comma, highlight my second column, close parentheses, and I have my negative correlation of 0.89. Now, had I labeled or sorted my time spent training from biggest to smallest and had number 1 being 10 and number 10 being 1, I would have ended up with the same 0.89, but it would have been positive instead of negative. Either way, I would compare the critical value to my correlation table to see whether it is significant or not.